Hello, this is Peace Weapon. Today I will attempt to pick this ASSA Twin Combi. Has all ASSA Twins. The ASSA Twin Combi has a double locking mechanism. One of them are the top pins and the other is in the form of some side pins that are usually called finger pins. Those have to be both rotated and lifted to the correct height. The top pins are barrel spools with matching countermilling. The key reflects both locking mechanisms with the top bitting for the top pins here that correspond to 6 chambers, and then the side pins that correspond to 5 chambers. These side pins are usually called finger pins because they have protrusions that look like fingers. The key works. Let's give it a try and pick it. So once more showing the key works. I'm using this top of the keyway tensioner and a custom finger pin pick that looks a little bit like a flag, and that I made from a pick that came in a Chinese set, and then I used the handle of a color marker to make the pick. I'm going from the back, rotating each finger pin to the correct position. I'll try to keep the finger pins in their final positions as much as I can, although some of them will go back to previous resting position. So later I will have to go back and rotate them again. The combi finger pins are difficult to rotate because they have serrations that I will show later interact with the sidebar serrations too. Now I'm going for the top pins. As I said previously, there are some barrels on the top and corresponding countermilling that will add to the difficulty of this lock. Another big difficulty is the fact that both the top pins and the finger pins do not isolate, so I will have to go back and forth, picking the top, picking the side, picking the top again a few times until I get this open. Going back to the finger pins, check their rotation. Some people will keep the flag straight up while going from fingerpin to fingerpin and turn it to the left so they can rotate the fingerpins. The way I do it, I keep the flag slightly pointing down to the left and go underneath each fingerpin while traveling from one to another. When I want to rotate a fingerpin, I turn the flag to the right just enough so I can touch the fingerpin on its side and then either push or pull to rotate it. Going back to the top pins, top pins seem to be picked. Now I'm going back to the side pins and try to find what's missing. I'm checking the rotation of the back pins. Lifting the back pin to its position. And now for the final pin. And it's open. Now let's cut it. Originally this lock was very mastered with a lot of wafers. JD sold me this lock already with very improved pinning, and I improved it a little bit more, balancing the stacks with the barrels I had. Even so, I kept a couple of wafers in the first two chambers. The barrel spools would sit too low in their chambers. The top of the barrel spools would also be interacting with the top of the plug chamber and caused a weird feedback that made it more difficult to pick. Also, the lift needed to pick those stacks made it excessively difficult to pick. The presence of the master wafers also keeps the lock more balanced, as the ASSA locks usually have balanced stacks. Here are the fingerpins in their chambers, rotated and lifted to the correct height so the sidebar can be retracted and the plug can turn. Usually there are only two heights for the fingerpins to be lifted, but somehow this lock seems to have three different heights. Here's the sidebar. As you can see, the sidebar has some serrations that will interact with the serrations of the fingerpins that I will show next, and this makes it much more difficult to rotate the fingerpins to their correct positions. Removing the sidebar springs. Here are the fingerpins. As you can see, they have those extensions that look a little bit like fingers. Those interact with the key and rotate according to their code. Each fingerpin has two grooves that will interact with the sidebar, and they have these serrations all around that will interact with the serrations of the sidebar too. I will show now that all of them have the same serrations and grooves. This is a plug. Those are chambers of the finger pins, the groove for the sidebar, and the chambers for the top pins. All the chambers have matching countermilling for the barrel spools. And there you go. Thanks for watching.